So today we will discuss about the venous drainage of the lower limb. As you can see on the screen, to understand the venous drainage of the lower limb, we divided the veins of the lower limb into superficial and deep categories. As you can see on the screen, the superficial category includes the greater saphenous vein and the small saphenous vein. Superficial venous system includes the greater saphenous vein and the small saphenous vein, whereas the deep venous system includes mainly the starting from the leg, the popliteal vein, after the peroneal veins, and then the femoral vein, which then goes and terminates into the external iliac vessels. So, for ease of description and understanding, we divided the veins into superficial and deep categories. As the name indicates, the superficial veins lie in the superficial fascia, the superficial facial layer of the lower limb, that is very superficial. Even you can see the superficial veins in some normal as well as disease conditions. Whereas the deep venous system, the deep veins, they are located in the deeper facial layers within the muscles along with the arteries, the corresponding arteries. You will come to know further that the deep veins, these are accompanied by the arteries, associated arteries, and are named after those arteries. If you can see here, you can see a heading with perforators. These perforators, as the name indicates, these are interconnected veins connecting the superficial to the deep venous system. I'll show you a picture of the perforating veins. This is very important. The shunting of the blood from the superficial to the deep venous system is brought through the perforating veins. These are the perforators. If you can see, this is a diagram to make you understand. This is normal vessels. This is the superficial venous system, normal superficial venous system, channels. And this is the deep venous system. So if you can see the interconnected small veins, these are the interconnected veins, these are the interconnected veins. These are called as perforators, and these perforators connect the superficial venous system to the deep venous system. Or you can say that these perforators bring back the venous blood from these superficial venous channels to the deep venous channels to be supplied further through the femoral and external iliac veins to through the inferior vena cava to the heart. So basically we have three types of veins to drain the lower limb. One is the superficial, the other is the deep, and the veins connecting the superficial to the deep are the perforators. This is another diagram for perforators to make you understand. You can see this is the deep vein and this is the superficial vein close to the skin. This is the perforating bridge, the perforating vein making a bridge between the deep and the superficial vein. Got it? This is easy, this is not confusing. If you have any problem in this, okay, Ji, you listening to me? ओके, एक स्टूडेंट है, उसने अपना वीडियो ऑन किया है, प्लीज इसको ऑफ कर दे. Okay, this is another picture for the perforator veins. As you can see, these are the veins connecting the superficial to the deep veins. Okay, now we'll come to our main topic, that is the superficial and the deep. So as I told you, there are two categories, the superficial vein and a deep vein. The superficial veins includes two vessels, two veins. That is the great saphenous vein on the medial aspect and the small saphenous vein on the lateral aspect of the leg and lower limb. Okay, now we'll discuss about the configuration of the superficial venous system. So the superficial venous system, the flow of the superficial venous system or the drainage of the superficial venous system starts with the formation of the dorsal venous system, dorsal venous arch. Dorsal venous arch, if you can see in this picture, this is the venous network at the dorsum or front of the foot. It is situated above the metatarsals. You can see this is the dorsal venous arch. It is formed by the draining vessels, draining veins from the toes and the webs in these spaces. So the dorsal venous arch is formed at the dorsum of the foot. Now, if you can see, this is the medial aspect and this is the lateral aspect of the leg. So from the medial aspect of the foot, from the medial aspect of the dorsal venous network or dorsal venous arch, here it arises the great saphenous vein. Medially, it arises the great saphenous vein. So the great saphenous vein arises from the dorsal venous arch. You can see here clearly the deep saphenous vein, the great saphenous vein arises from the medial aspect of the dorsal venous arch, passes in front of the medial malleolus. You should have to remember this, that the great saphenous vein passes in front of the medial malleolus. Your medial malleolus, your lower end of the tibia, the great saphenous vein passes in front of the medial malleolus. As is seen in the diagram, this is anterior to the medial malleolus. So this great saphenous vein passes in front of the medial malleolus and courses to the leg, to the posterior aspect of the leg, up to the posterior knee. From the knee, it turns to the medial aspect of the thigh. As you can see here, it arises on the medial aspect of the dorsal venous arch, ascends in front of the medial malleolus, ascends further in the leg, coursing posteriorly, then coming at the point of the knee, it wends to the medial aspect of the lower thigh by piercing the deep fascia of the thigh, and here at the level of the saphenous opening in the deep fascia, it drains or it joins the femoral vein. So the great saphenous vein, it starts at the medial aspect of the dorsal venous arch of the foot and ascends in the front of the medial malleolus. One thing to be remembered, that the great saphenous vein is accompanied by saphenous nerve. You should remember the name, the saphenous nerve, through its course. So the great saphenous vein with its origin accompanies the saphenous nerve and it ascends in the leg, the superficial fascia of the leg, passing in the knee posteriorly, where it curves to the medial side of the thigh in the lower thigh. It then passes in the deep fascial opening, which is called as saphenous opening, and there it joins the femoral vein. In the book, a distance is given that it is situated, the femoral vein is situated 1.5 inches or 4.5 centimeter below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. Pubic tubercle is a landmark. If you can see at the picture, this is the level of the pubic tubercle. So the femoral vein lies 4 centimeter or 1.5 inches below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. This is the anatomical landmark which you have to remember. So the great saphenous vein is very simple, arising from the medial aspect of the dorsal venous arch, passing in front of the medial malleolus, along with the saphenous nerve, ascends to the posterior aspect of the foot, reaches the posterior aspect of the knee, then curves to the medial aspect of the thigh at the lower thigh. Then, after piercing the deep fascia in the upper thigh, it enters an opening which is called as saphenous opening. If you can see, this is the area of the saphenous opening. And at this area, at the saphenous opening, the great saphenous vein joins the femoral vein. That is, it becomes the femoral vein. This is the whole great saphenous vein coursing through here, and here it pierces the deep facial layer, the saphenous opening, and it joins the femoral vein. And it is given that it is situated 1.5 inches or 4 centimeter below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. Below and lateral. If you can see, this is the pubic tubercle, the anatomical landmark of pubic tubercle. So it is below and lateral. This is lateral and this is below. This is medial and this is above. This is medial, this is above. So it is situated at the below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. Sorry. So this was the great saphenous vein, starting at the dorsal venous arch of the foot, passing in front of the medial malleolus, coursing through the leg posteriorly to the knee, posterior aspect of the knee, and then winding or curving to the medial aspect of the thigh at the lower thigh. After crossing or after piercing the deep fascia of the upper thigh, it enters an opening which is known as saphenous opening. Here is the opening, and at that point, at this saphenous opening point, the great saphenous vein becomes the femoral vein. Got it? If anything, any confusion in this great saphenous vein, please ask. Otherwise, I'll proceed to the okay. After this great saphenous vein, we have short or small saphenous vein. As you can see in this picture, in this slide, this is the lateral aspect. This was the medial aspect. And this is the lateral aspect. So, like the great saphenous vein, the short or small saphenous vein also arises from this dorsal venous network, but at the lateral aspect, that is from here. This is the dorsal venous aspect, dorsal venous network, lateral aspect. The small or short saphenous vein arises from the lateral aspect of the dorsal venous network, passes behind the medial malleolus. You should note this, that the small saphenous vein passes behind the medial malleolus. The lateral malleolus. The great saphenous vein was coursing in front of the medial malleolus along with the saphenous nerve. The short saphenous vein courses behind the lateral malleolus along with the sural nerve. Sural nerve from the sural nerve along with the short saphenous or small saphenous vein, and saphenous nerve along with the great saphenous vein. So if you can see, I'll show you another picture of the. Now here, if you can see here, this is the short saphenous vein or small saphenous vein arising from the lateral aspect of the dorsal venous network, passing behind the medial malleolus, behind the lateral malleolus, along with the sural nerve and coursing back into the neck, where it pierces the deep fascia of the upper leg to enter the popliteal fossa. If you can see here, it courses in the posterior leg, and here on arriving this popliteal fossa level, it pierces the deep fascia of the leg and enters the popliteal fossa, where it becomes the popliteal vein. So it started over the lateral aspect of the dorsal venous network, courses behind the lateral malleolus, along with the sural nerve, ascends posteriorly in the leg, then approaching the upper aspect of the leg, the posterior leg, by piercing the deep fascia at the popliteal area, it enters the popliteal fossa, and here it becomes the popliteal vein. So you see, you have great saphenous vein accompanying with saphenous nerve passing in front of the medial malleolus, coursing through the posterior aspect of the leg, entering the medial aspect of the thigh, and terminating at the saphenous opening in the deep fascia of the thigh to join the femoral vein. On this side, you have the short or small saphenous vein starting on the lateral aspect of the dorsal venous network, ascending behind the lateral malleolus along with the sural nerve, and courses superiorly to the posterior aspect of the leg, and at the level of the popliteal fossa pierces the deep fascia of the leg to become popliteal vein at the popliteal fossa. So this was the difference between the two, and this is the description of the great and small saphenous vein. See that the slide, and if there is anything, any difficulty, please ask me, then I'll proceed. Clear to everyone? Okay. Repeat. Okay, so superficial venous system consists of great saphenous vein and small or short saphenous vein. The great saphenous vein being the longest vein in the body. The great saphenous vein started at the medial aspect of the dorsal venous arch, passes in front of the medial malleolus along with the saphenous nerve, courses at the posterior aspect of the leg, piercing the deep fascia at the lower aspect of the thigh, and entering the saphenous opening of the deep fascia of the thigh to become the femoral vein. Whereas the short or small saphenous vein arises on the lateral aspect of the dorsal venous network, passes behind the lateral malleolus along with the sural nerve, courses at the posterior aspect of the leg, approaching the popliteal fossa, piercing the deep fascia at the level of the popliteal fossa to enter the popliteal fossa and become the popliteal vein. Got it now? I think it's enough for the great and the small saphenous veins. Now we will proceed to the deep veins. As you can see, this is the small saphenous vein coursing through the posterior aspect of the leg, and here entering the popliteal fossa and becoming the popliteal vein. You can see in this figure also, and here also. This is the small saphenous vein. Now we'll discuss the clinical importance after that. Now comes the deep venous system. The deep venous system, the deep veins arises as they accompany their associated arteries. The arteries, as you all know, the arteries are located deep in the lower limbs, as anywhere else in the body, and the veins or the vena committents draining that area, these get their names from the draining arteries. As I told you that the superficial venous system start with the dorsal venous network or arch. Likewise, the deep venous system starts with the medial and the lateral plantar veins. The medial and the lateral plantar veins are the vena committents of the arteries, associated arteries. These are formed on the medial and the lateral aspects of the foot, and these join to form the posterior tibial vein. So as you can see in this picture, this is the posterior tibial vein, anterior tibial vein, this is the popliteal vein, this is the femoral vein, and this external iliac vein. So mainly you can see mainly we have these posterior tibial vein, anterior tibial vein, then the popliteal vein, the femoral vein, and external iliac veins. These are the deep veins of the lower limb. Starting at the posterior tibial vein, then anterior tibial vein, the popliteal vein, the femoral vein, and the external iliac vein. These are the deep veins of the lower limb. Now we will discuss the formation of the popliteal, the femoral veins, so that you can understand the deep venous drainage of the lower limb. As I told you, the vena committents are associated or accompanied with the associated arteries. First, we will start with the popliteal vein. The popliteal vein, it is formed by the union of the vena committents of the anterior and posterior tibial arteries. So the vena committents of the anterior and the posterior tibial arteries, as you can see, this and here, these anastomose or these unite with one another to form the popliteal vein. The popliteal vein ends by passing through a gap in the muscle, the adductor magnus muscle, which is known as the adductor opening sometime, and it is where it becomes the femoral vein. So the popliteal vein starts by joining of the anterior and the posterior tibial veins, and the vena committents of the anterior and posterior tibial arteries, and it ends by passing through an opening in the adductor magnus muscle, where it becomes the femoral vein. So, as I told you earlier, that the popliteal vein drains the small saphenous vein directly, and so the popliteal vein has numerous tributaries along with the small saphenous vein. So this was the formation of the popliteal vein. It is formed by the vena committents of the anterior and the posterior tibial arteries, and it ends by passing through a gap in the adductor magnus muscle, where it becomes the femoral vein. Then the femoral vein, as you can see, it will start from here, it will become the femoral vein. So the femoral vein will start from here and it will ascend to become drained by the external iliac vein. Now the formation of the femoral vein, as all you know that it is a continuation of the popliteal vein, and it is formed at the opening of the adductor magnus muscle in the thigh, in the upper thigh, where it becomes the femoral vein in the adductor canal. So here the femoral vein is enclosed by a deep fascial sheath, which is known as femoral sheath. It is very important. The femoral sheath, it lies over here, and the femoral sheath have some contents. These contents are the femoral nerve, femoral artery, the femoral vein, and the femoral lymphatics, the deep lymphatics. So, to memorize the contents of the femoral sheath, we use a mnemonic as NAVEL. NAVEL. From N, we get femoral nerve. From A, femoral artery. Then from V, femoral vein. From E, it is an empty space. And from L, we get femoral lymphatics. It is an arrangement at the femoral sheath of the femoral neurovascular along with the lymphatics. And these are arranged from lateral to medial. As you can see, this femoral vein, so the femoral artery and the femoral nerve, these are located at the lateral aspect of this femoral vein. The femoral nerve and artery, as I told you, NAVEL, navy and navel, NAVEL, navel. So navel, you first get from N. You got this femoral nerve laterally, most laterally, then the femoral artery, then the femoral vein, then here is the empty space, and then the deep lymphatics over here. So femoral vein is lying in the femoral sheath on medial aspect of the femoral artery and nerves, whereas lateral to the deep lymphatics of the femoral triangle or femoral sheath. So the femoral vein, I told you it is formed from the continuation of the popliteal vein, and the level you should remember at the opening of the adductor magnus muscle. It then ascends in the adductor canal on the Hunter canal or the femoral canal in the femoral triangle and is enclosed by a sheath of deep fascia, which is known as femoral sheath. Then in the femoral sheath, you should have to remember the arrangement of the neurovascular and lymphatics at that area. So first of all, starting from the lateral aspect, you got femoral nerve, then femoral artery, then comes the femoral vein, then comes the empty space, and then lymphatics. So if somebody asks you that where the femoral artery or the femoral nerve is located at the femoral sheath, so your answer should be that it is lateral to the femoral vein, whereas the empty space or the lymphatics of the femoral sheath are located medial to the femoral vein. So femoral vein is located in between the lymphatics and the femoral artery and nerve. The femoral artery and nerve are located laterally to the femoral vein, whereas the deep lymphatics are located medially to the femoral vein. Now, then coursing to the, then ascending at the level of the inguinal ligament, the femoral vein becomes continuous with this external iliac vein. If you can see, this is the level of, roughly this is the level of the inguinal ligament. So this femoral vein, while coursing behind or posterior to the inguinal ligament, becomes the external iliac vein. From here, it is drained by the common iliac veins and IVC and to the heart. So this was the formation of the femoral vein. I discussed the popliteal and the femoral veins. If anybody having any difficulty, please ask so that we get to clear the confusion and proceed further. From E, you get empty space. Empty space is a space in the femoral sheath where some people say that you have got lymphatics in that empty sheet, and some say that the empty space is empty and the lymphatics are situated medial to that empty space. You should have gave a single read to it. D is for understanding that there is an empty space, and the empty space is the gap between the femoral vein and the deep femoral nodes or the deep femoral lymphatics. Please do not confuse it. It is just for your understanding. No documentation, nothing. Clear till now? Please respond. Okay, so I'll just repeat it swiftly, then we'll go to another topic, short topic. So today we discussed the of the lower limb. Everybody can see the slide. As with other parts of the body, the lymph or the lymphatic fluid from the lower limb is drained through the lymphatic. The whole of the lymphatics are drained by the lymphatic vessels, and these come to a level where the lymphatics are situated. Level where whole or most of the lymph from this lower limb is drained by the inguinal lymph nodes. Inguinal lymph nodes, as the name indicates, it is situated in the periphery of the inguinal area, inguinal ligament. So these are known as inguinal lymph nodes. For the ease of description, we have divided the lymphatic drainage or the inguinal lymph nodes into superficial and deep inguinal lymph nodes. The superficial and the deep. The superficial inguinal lymph nodes, as you can see in this slide, this is the two horizontal and vertical groups due to its position. The horizontal are lying side by side to one another, whereas the vertical are arranged in a superior to inferior fashion. So we have the lymphatic drainage of the lower limb. For that, we have the inguinal lymph nodes. The inguinal lymph nodes are of two types, that is superficial inguinal lymph nodes and deep inguinal lymph nodes. The superficial inguinal lymph nodes are further divided into horizontal and vertical group. The horizontal group and the vertical group. Then we discussed that the horizontal group receives the lymph from the superficial lymphatic channels of the anterior abdominal wall below the level of the umbilicus. Please note it. The superficial inguinal lymph nodes drain the lymph or lymphatics from the anterior abdominal wall below the level of the umbilicus. Note this below. Below the level of the umbilicus, the anterior abdominal wall is drained by the superficial inguinal lymph nodes horizontal group. The horizontal group of the superficial inguinal lymph nodes drain the anterior abdominal wall below the level of the umbilicus, the perineum, the external genitalia in both sexes, but not the testes. It do not drain the testes. Testes are drained by para-aortic lymph nodes, which are situated in the abdomen, and these are the para-aortic lymph nodes. If you can see, these are the superficial inguinal lymph nodes, and this is the deep inguinal lymph nodes. In superficial, you can see the horizontal arrangement as well as the vertical arrangement. So, the superficial inguinal lymph nodes horizontal group drain the anterior abdominal wall below the level of umbilicus, the perineum, the external genitalia in both sexes, excluding the testes. You should have to remember this, that excluding the testes. Testes are drained by the para-aortic lymph nodes in the abdomen. Then the lower half of the anal canal, along with the skin from the buttocks. So, the horizontal group of the superficial inguinal lymph nodes drain the skin from the buttocks, the lower half of the anal canal, the perineum, the external genitalia in both sexes, excluding the testes, and the anterior abdominal wall